I'm going to ask you again, what exactly would you do for love? Because as we will see in this video, Ryder will do anything for love. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're lost in the sauce, go check out my previous videos. And if you are new to my channel, hit the subscribe button because I drop a video every day. Now let us begin, because Ryder is at a crossroads. But the thing is, she was expected. I mean, the server she was following all this time knew she was following him because his boss knew she was coming. But she had to be presentable, and that didn't sit right with her. But she didn't even have the chance to protest because she was going down. That usually happens when you're shot in the guts. Now fading in and out of reality, she was remembering the last time she had a fight with her man. She also wanted her to be presentable because they had a meeting with the banker that was supposed to collect their farm, their very way of life. But the issue was, she didn't care. Dressing up wasn't her style. Tired of watching her parents fight, their daughter tried to apologize, but her husband made it clear it wasn't her fault. Her mother is just too wild. So she got pissed off, hopped on a horse, and said, I'll handle it myself, my own way. Now in the present, she got patched up, well, as best as they could, because this was a gambling ship, not a hospital. But she didn't mind. She could walk again. So she got led to the master of this ship, and she saw a lot of profanities around her because this was a ship for pleasure, not just drinks, not just gambling. The only downside is if you cannot pay what you gamble, you get punished for eternity. You don't want to be punished for eternity. It sucks. But I digress. She was about to meet the owner of this ship, a dark-skinned, massive figure who, for some reason, was a very, very serious gambler. But she didn't look for money, no. She wanted something more. Eternal servitude. As soon as you lose, she takes every part of you. And like I said, Ryder was expected. Ryder didn't want to be here though. She made it clear, bruh, I'm not here to argue or gamble. I'm just here for a marker so I can meet death. The host, however, made it clear that that is what she's offering. She just likes to gamble for it. So, eternal servitude is what you have to offer. And what I have to offer is the marker. So, Ryder agreed, and she went all in. Because if there's one thing she could do really well aside gunsling, she loved to gamble, and she was good at it. Remembering again, after she went to the banker, she realized that this was a gambling house as well. So, she wanted to gamble, but with everything she owes the bank on the line. And she meant everything. He made it clear that would be $30,000. And she looked around and decided, I'm all in. Let's do this. With all the money she had, she went to play. And like I said, Shorty was good. But so was the host of this ship. The game started, and it was a long game. A lot of people playing with them were lost by the wayside. Eternal servitude was tossed all around in this room. Even people that had been playing for the longest lost. All that was left at the end was the host and Ryder herself. But Ryder was going to win because she was a crazy gambler. The host, however, was pissed off because she knew you weren't supposed to win. You are cheating. Ryder, with a smile, admitted, yes, I was. But the game had no rules. You just didn't catch me. I still won. Now, are you going to give me the marker, or do I have to put a bullet in your face? Caught in an absolute standoff, the host was pissed, but then she started to laugh because she found this exciting. Yes, my dear, you won. But sadly, you still cheated. You could go with your marker, but I'm going to rock your world. And she gets her ass beat down. With every punch, she remembers that gambling never pays because even in the past, she won, yes, but her husband was disappointed. What if you were caught? What if you died? What will I tell our kid? Is this what you want to teach her? That everything in life comes easy if you steal and cheat? You have to be better, Ryder. You have to be for our child. Cheating, killing, all of that. You have to leave it behind. And when she awoken, she was in the ocean. Thankfully, she was still alive. But she was fucked up. Clenched in her arm was her marker. So she decided to walk because her mission still had a goal. Her mission was to kill death, and she was not going to stop. So she walked and walked. With her bruises and injuries still intact, she saw a bar and she wanted to have a drink. But as usual, she had some memories tied to drinking because the last time she was about to have a drink was when she found out she was sick. And on that day, she went berserk. It was completely unfair. Why did she have to die? She had a good life. She had a good kid. This was the day she decided to face death himself. But at that moment, just like now, someone interrupted her. Her kid was here. It should be impossible for her to be here. She went out running and she saw her. It was her daughter. She couldn't help but chase this person, hoping to God it was real, hoping to God she could see her kid one last time. But then she heard music. Getting closer and closer, the music increased. It was a sad song, played by a gigantic man, and her daughter was right next to him crying, and so was this man. Both of them wailed in silence as he played his instrument while bleeding profusely from his arms. She couldn't help it. It was as if the very ground itself was vibrating in tune with this song. It got so outrageously loud. The guitar shattered and the cavern started to cave in on her. She was trying to reach for her daughter, but she couldn't. She tried and tried, but the last thing she saw was her kid turning her back on her mother. This was depression. This was herself being buried underneath the dirt, being buried underneath her doubt. This was her letting go. But then she remembered who she was doing this for. It wasn't for her, it was for her family. She couldn't lay here and die. She couldn't give up. So, with all of her strength, she started to punch, and she dug herself out of the hole, only to be greeted by another gentleman. But this guy was clearly an undertaker, and he directed her on a new path to walk. She picked up her hat and she began to walk, walking as far as her legs could take her. She arrived at a town where the guide from earlier sat with his cup stretched out, waiting to accept her marker. And with the marker in hand, she placed it in his cup and he accepted it. Just like before, his massive staff slammed on the floor and we see his face for the first time. A ghoulish figure. And just like that, a storm started to spin around her. Combination of both dust and sands, like the sands of time. She was enveloped in it, like she was changing planes, changing locations. Unknown to her, this was a gift. This was everything she wanted. This was her gateway to death himself. Because like I said, she was expected. He called out her name. Welcome, Ryder. I heard you were looking for me. He exuded such a dangerous presence with his gigantic scythe next to him. She knew this was the battle of a lifetime.